In today's practice, we'll continue to explore the support and ground of the spine through spinal flexion to increase the weight bearing through the front of the spine and open along the back chain of the body. For today's practice, you will need a blanket and a pillow, and if you have it, 2 blocks. So to begin today's practice, find your blanket and place it beneath your sit bones. Place your sit bones on the front edge of the mat and bring the soles of your feet together in a long diamond shape as we come into our first posture, butterfly. As you come into this posture, if you have any instability in the pelvis or the hips or any discomfort, I recommend taking a block under each hip so that the focus is on unwinding through the spine. So as we begin to turn inward in this introspective practice, allow the spine to cascade forward, letting the chin come towards the throat, letting the crown of the head round down, and try to feel a cascading forward of each of the spinal segments off of the one below it, not pushing and definitely not trying to get all the way down to begin. Just going to that first speed bump or point of resistance and pausing. Feeling a gentle sensation of pulling in the back. Noticing if there's any holding up of the head. Can you let the eyes close? Can you nod the head with a little yes to feel that lengthening right at the base of the head where the spine and the skull meet? Can you allow the shoulders to drop forward, letting the elbows bend, maybe the hands rest on your feet as the elbows hang between the knees? And if you feel like you need some additional support, if there's any straining or discomfort in the head, place a pillow underneath the head or your block. The pillow's nice though because it's soft and it allows you to continue to progress. As I've moved through my yin work, I've tended to like softer props rather than harder props, so items around your home are perfect, such as cushions and pillows and blankets. And then again, if there's any straining or efforting in the hips or any discomfort in the SI joints, please support the knees with pillows or blocks. And then just settle into this first shape. Take a couple breaths, and as you exhale, just let it sigh out. Feeling the support of your body on the earth. Sensing the pinky toe sides of the feet. Sensing the heaviness in the sit bones. And feeling gravity allow the body to let go towards the floor, letting go of what's ever behind you. As you open the back body, let anything you no longer need fall off of the spine, right back into the floor. Letting it return to the earth. Feeling that cradle of the earth beneath you, allowing you to surrender just a little bit more. Can you let go of efforting and doing? Can you feel the heaviness in the bones of the feet, the lower legs, of the thighs, of the pelvis?
Can you let the head go and be heavy? And feel the cascading and decompression of the spine, allowing each of the spinal joints in the back of the body to begin to open. With time, you'll feel the sensations change. As the sensations change, allow the posture to evolve. Sending all of your awareness towards the back of the spine. With each inhalation, can you feel the breath move from the tailbone up the back of the spine, creating a cresting at the crown of the head? And then like a wave, the exhale pours down towards the feet and in towards the navel. Feeling an opening through the back of the spine, and then a compression through the front of the spine. Allowing the back of the spine to open as the front of the spine bears a bit more weight. Bringing more awareness to the front of the spine, that space between the organs and the round, weight-bearing bodies of all of the spinal segments. Feeling that internal center of support. And as you turn inward, as you awaken the sensation of internal support through that central spinal column, as you allow that spinal column to decompress, maybe set an intention for today's practice. Continuing with the themes of being grounded and supported. Or maybe adding in, may I let go of what's behind me? Or may I let go of what's behind me and awaken to the support that is inside of me, accessing that internal support of the spine, of all of the connective tissues. Becoming aware of the internal support of the breath. Allow yourself to be nurtured as we go through this practice, feeling supported by the earth, by the physical body, by the breath. And from that place of support, that place of ground, starting to develop the curiosity to listen, to explore, to awaken new movement patterns in the body. Awaken new thought patterns in the mind. Awaken to freedom, to spaciousness, through this internal exploration. And as you're ready, moving slowly, find your hands, pressing the hands into the earth, slowly stacking one segment back on top of the other from the bottom up. Feel every spinal segment begin to stack, returning to an upright spinal position. Let the head be the last thing to rise. Once the spine returns to vertical, use your hands to draw the knees in. Hugging the knees to the chest for a moment. Feeling the resonance or the echo of that posture. Notice any signs of soreness, kind of like delayed muscle soreness when we work the connective tissues of the body. There might be a rush of soreness after holding these postures for long periods. So allow yourself to integrate the benefits of the posture by riding the entire wave of sensation. All sensation in the body generally lasts about 90 seconds, so stay with it. Feel the crest and then feel it recede. And when the body is returned to stillness, is ready to begin again, we'll build onto that, integrating now the back of the legs. So just as we did with our rolling exploration, we began by exploring movement of the spine, and then we integrated the rest of that chain. So we'll move from butterfly to caterpillar, now stretching the legs out in front. If the knees have a tendency to hyperextend, or if the sensation is too great, you can place a blanket underneath the knees or a pillow or even your blocks. And then just as we did with our butterfly, we're going to allow the spine to roll and flex forward rather than reaching out with a long spine. So this is just a little bit different than we would do in our more active classes. So allow the chin to tuck to your chest, opening all of the segments one at a time along the back of the neck. Then allowing each of the thoracic segments and the ribs to flex, allowing the sternum to drop towards the back body. The hands may even come underneath the thighs to give yourself a little hug. You could also place a pillow under the belly, allowing yourself to lean into that pillow so that the head becomes caught. Letting go of efforting and allowing time and gravity to unwind the spine. Letting this passive action open all of the small mobile joints that allow each of the spinal segments to move. And again, use breath to bring your awareness to the back body. Let your attention follow your intention. Letting the breath fill each of the spaces between the vertebrae. Attention to where you feel the movement well. And then maybe noticing those segments where it's hard to feel. There might even be a sense of numbness or lack of sensation. Allow your awareness to first rest in where you feel the opening easily. Notice if there's any efforting. Can you let go just 5% more? If there's any straining, how can you make this more sustainable? Can you bring the ground up to meet you so that you can surrender into support? Letting the head rest into a pillow or propping up behind the knees. Belly can even rest, or chin and chest can even rest on a pillow. How can you make this sustainable for the next minute? And by bringing the ground up to meet you, letting go of the efforting. Letting go of the doing and easing into a sense of spaciousness. Listening and observing the sensations of the spine. Allowing every sensation to be a messenger. Unfolding new awareness. Awakening understanding. Noticing the sensations and how sensations might lead to emotions or thoughts arising. As you start to release tension, observing what those patterns of tension hold. Noticing yourself letting go with each exhalation, remembering your intention. May I let go of what's behind me. And letting everything arise, be here just as it is. Without judging. Let your body be your teacher. Let your body be your guide. Listening to all of the sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Helping you onto this path of establishing freedom. Freedom in the body. Freedom in the mind. Remembering you are supported by the surface of the ground beneath you. Feel the connection of your legs to the earth. Let your body surrender into whatever support you have, feeling the fullness of this expression, of this commitment to turning inward. To letting anything you're holding on to in the back body fall off of you and melt back into the support of the earth. And then from that support beneath you, pressing your hands into it and rising one segment at a time, feeling the internal support of the spine as you stack the blocks of the spine one on top of the other, feeling the weight bearing in the front of the spine and the bodies, the round parts of each vertebrae, stacking one on top of the other.
riding the wave of sensation, feeling the echo or the resonance, that after effect of prolonged hold, giving the spine time to rebalance and integrate. Taking a big breath in and sighing it out, letting anything wash off of you. Maybe shake out the arms. Maybe allow the legs to rotate side to side. After flexion, rotation can be a helpful way to rebalance. And then coming towards a closed knee child's pose, we'll continue in this direction. In this particular version of child's pose, I want it to be the breath that drives an inhibition of all of the muscles that erect the spine so that we can undo the need to hold ourselves up and allow the back of the spine to open. That will also allow the front of the spine to engage slightly so that we can find that connection to our internal center of support. So as we come into this child's pose, it will be slightly different. Bring the feet together, bring the knees together. Now bring your elbows right up against your knees and hands come together in prayer. Just like you're in a cobra type posture, or even more so a downward facing dog, press through the forearms. And as you press through the forearms, press the hips back towards the heels and let the head hang between the forearms. You may feel an opening in the shoulders and shoulder blades, and you may feel a little pressure in the backs of the thighs as you press the hips back towards the heels. Now breathe into the space in the back of the rib cage, trying to fill the whole back side of the lungs, in that space between the lungs and the spine, between the heart and the spine, between even the kidneys and the spine, feeling the breath create an internal opening and a sense of buoyancy. Then with the exhale, press into the forearms and press the hips back a little bit more, creating a little sensation of cat's breath, rounding just a little bit more. Can you bring your gaze downward in the eye sockets so that you're looking towards the sternum? Maybe even trying to glance towards the collarbones. Feeling that opening pull into the back of the neck and the base of the head. As you exhale, can you feel the breath drain down the front of the spine, that space between the organs and the spinal column, finding that deep center, your deep center of support, security, and grounding you into your body. Establishing an internal sense of support in this seed shape, maybe returning to your intentions for this practice. Why are you here today? What is it you're looking for with this challenge? And how can that help you live out your life with fullness and freedom? And then allow the arms to relax. Allow the forehead to come to the earth.
Allow your hands to rest by your heels, cupping the heels with your hands. Bring the crown of your head to the floor and your forehead to the knees. As we find a version of rabbit, this requires a little bit more exertion. So sometimes in yin, it's not always restorative, but we're looking for that end range and trying to explore our end range, finding more strength, finding more stability, finding more awareness and proprioception so that we can move through a fuller range of motion, to have a fuller range of experience and expression. So use your breath to sustain this posture, taking the crown of your head to the floor. If you have any neck injuries or don't want to weight bear through the head, you can stay in this compressed child's pose. But careful not to put too much weight in the head. Simply rest the crown on your head. Feel yourself roll the hips upward and feel how the hands against the heels create an opening in that space between the shoulder blades, really rounding through the upper back. Feel the inhalation along the back of the spine. Feel the exhalation even create a little upward lift into the navel, creating a sense of suspension, making this a bit more sustainable. With each exhalation, feeling the opening in the back of the lungs, the space behind the heart, the space between the shoulder blades. Letting go of anything you may be holding in the depths of the heart, anything that's holding you back, that's keeping you from feeling and being free. Taking 3 more breaths here. Sighing the last breath out. Dropping the hips to the heels, letting the sit bones press down, and then again, feeling the spine ascend upward. Feeling every segment stack. Keeping the awareness deep in the center of the body. Not trying to sit up tall to get the chest lifted or the gaze or the head lifted. Notice if that happens, how you start to weight bear and lock down into that back musculature and those back joints. Can you shift the awareness to weight bearing through the central column of the body and feel the base of the head ascending upward like a puppet string is pulling the occiput away from the top of the skull? Can you sense equal space in the low back and the belly? Equal space in the back of the ribs and the front of the ribs? Equal space in the back of the heart and the front of the heart? An equal space in the back of the neck and the front of the throat so that the head can rest in balance on top of the spine. No need to work, no need to effort. Letting alignment and gravity let the body rest at ease. And then moving from the spine back into the legs so that we can connect that whole posterior or back body opening. Let us find a yogi toe stand.
To find this, curl all 10 toes under. Place the bottoms of the toes on the floor, trying to keep the heels together. Press your hips back, almost like you just did in that variation of child's pose. And then maybe your blocks could be a nice support here. This can be one of those postures that is, again, a bit challenging. So as we go through our yin practice, we're looking to be able to move through our full spectrum of joint mobility safely and with stability, with awareness. So not pushing past our edge, but meeting that barrier, that edge of sensation that's sensational, interesting, but sustainable. Maybe walking the hands up the thighs. Maybe even walking the hands to the hips. Feeling the awakening and opening in the bottom of the big toe, the very start of that myofascial chain that goes up all along the back of the spine, over the crown of the head, terminates at the eyes, and is associated with our kidney meridian, the longest meridian of the body. Can you make this posture sustainable for the next 7 breaths? Let your breath create that internal support. Feel the internal support of the inhalation give you a sense of lifting, of mobility, of freedom. Then feel the exhalation reconnect you to the sense of ground beneath the feet, beneath the shins, beneath the knees, and in the bowl and base of the pelvis. Use your breath as the antidote. If you're feeling stuck, allow the inhale to give you lightness. If you're feeling like you need more grounding, more support, allow the exhale to reconnect you to the external support of the earth. Resting in this support that's always around us. Using the external support of the earth, the internal support of the breath, to give us ground. Like planting roots. Feel the breath move into the floor, and from the floor, that breath springboards upwards, allowing you to grow in height, allowing you to blossom and unfold. Feel the fullness of this, finding the balance between effort and ease. Taking one last breath and sighing it out, letting it all go, as well as letting this posture dissolve as you bring your hands to the earth, pressing up into a Uttanasana type shape. In yin, we call it dangling. So softening the knees, letting gravity do the work to let everything just fall off of you. The hands can come to opposite elbows if that feels nice, if you're feeling like you need a bit more unwinding in the middle back. The hands can come to the base of the skull, and the elbows can wrap around the cheekbones, creating even a little distraction of the head away from the cervical spine. If you need a little bit more opening in the upper part of the spine. And then you could even bend the knees and let
The belly and the chest rest on the thighs. The hands might even come behind you if you're feeling like you need more opening through the lower portion of the spine. Notice if there's any efforting. How can you let go of efforting? How can you connect to the sense of support in the floor, pressing down gently through the ball of the foot, all 10 toes and the heel, keeping a soft bend in the knees. Allowing time and gravity to let your spine completely unwind. What does it feel like to dangle or to hang here? To let the spine decompress, not force or make it do anything. Notice where the weight is in your feet. Notice if the hands can rest on the floor. If they don't, this is where your blocks will come in handy. If you feel that there's too much tension in the back of the legs, maybe you even sit for this variation, letting the hips rest into a chair so the spine can really dangle. Listen to your body. How can you make this sustainable? How can you create enough ease so that you can be curious and explore? Notice if you're still hanging on to any tension in the crown of the head or the back of the head. What happens if you nod the head yes? Gently, of course. Very gently, just maybe 20% effort at most. What happens if you shake the head no? What happens if you let out a huge sigh of relief, feeling the release through the entire spine? Maybe take 3 or so more rounds of that. Feeling the inhalation draw up the backs of the legs and the exhalation, like a waterfall, just cascade down the whole back of the spine, unsticking anything that still may feel stuck. Letting your awareness bring you right to those points where you need a little more nurturing. And can you meet any sensation with gentleness? The sense of loving kindness. With compassion, just allowing yourself to be here just as you are. No need to change anything. No need to do anything. Simply be. Letting time and gravity do all of the unwinding. And then, if you have your blanket nearby, it might be nice to place the blanket under your heels. You might turn the toes out if you need a little bit more space, and then just drop the hips into Malasana, low yogi squat. If you need a bit more grounding, your block can be a perfect support for under your sit bones. Allowing the spine to lengthen just a little bit more. This, again, like that child's pose variation, is a beautiful, beautiful variation to unstick and unlock and inhibit those erectors of the spine and allow us to reconnect to that center of balance along the front of the spine, restoring breathing mechanics,
restoring front back balance. Allowing us to reconnect to the internal strength of the pelvic floor. They say we should spend up to 20 minutes in this posture per day. So maybe you can just commit to spending just a little bit more time here. Feeling the breath right into the floor of the pelvis. Finding the balance between effort and ease. Finding your center of balance here in a posture that may be just a little bit challenging. And then dropping your hips back towards your heels, moving gently. And then making your way for the first time, this whole practice, all the way down to your back. Allowing the knees to stay bent. Rocking on the sacrum, reconnecting your center of gravity right along the front border of the sacrum, right at the base of the spine as it emerges from the pelvis into the support of the ground. Feeling what it's like to be supported, to be heavy, at rest and at ease. And then hugging your knees to your chest to increase the weight bearing in the back body. Feeling that compression bring more awareness to the back of the spine, even tucking the chin and elongating the back of the neck and back of the head. Can you feel the breath like a wave move along the front of the spinal column, between the spine and the digestive organs, between the spine and the lungs, the spine and the heart, right between the spine and the throat, right out the crown of the head, and keeping that internal center, that awareness right into the center of your core. Keeping both knees bent, allow your arms to come out like a T. Staying in just a little bit of flexion, a little bit of rounding, so that we turn through that central spinal column, coming into just a gentle supine twist. Restoring neutral in the spine after all of that bending, all of that flexing. The head can rest wherever it lands, maybe even shake the head no gently, allowing the back of the skull to just get a little bit of massage. If it feels right, your blanket, your pillow, or your blocks might support the shins so that both shoulders can stay grounded. How can you bring that surface, the ground of support, up to meet you, to let you unwind, to let go just a little bit more into the earth, remembering support, allowing yourself to be nurtured, to be cradled, to be held, so that you can let go of what you no longer need. Stilling the ripples of the mind, releasing the old patterns of the body. So that you can introduce new movements, new patterns, new freedom. Very gently pull the knees back into your chest, pulling them up as you come cross center. Pausing in neutral, feeling the heaviness of the bones drop into the floor. Then allowing the knees to cascade over to the other side, up towards the opposite shoulder a little bit, so that the weight bearing stays through the spinal column, the bodies of the spinal segments or the vertebrae, the round parts that sandwich the discs, creating equal space in the front and the back to decompress the discs. Let the body drop into the ground of support behind you. Letting the head go to release any last bit of tension. Let the head rock side to side, giving a gentle massage along the base of the spine, tucking the chin slightly and keeping the head heavy on the floor so that you feel that opening right where the base of the head meets the spine. Unsticking, unwedging the skull from the first cervical vertebrae. Can you soften the jaw, the eyes, even allow the brain to be heavy in the skull? And then hugging the knees into your chest, gently engaging the abdominals again, returning to center. Then allowing one foot to come down, the other foot to come down. Let's come into our final posture, a supported bridge. You can use your blanket or your block or even your pillow just to support the pelvis. Find the sacrum again, that triangular bone that makes up the back wall of the pelvis. This is just a counter pose to redistribute, rebalance the pressures in the spine. We did a lot of forward folding, which can press the disc contents posteriorly or backwards in the direction in which they can bulge. So we'll just rebalance the spine with this gentle extension, allowing our bodies to find neutral as we complete our practice. Feeling a sense of completion as you rest in this counter pose, knowing the work has been done. Let go of any efforting. Feel your body completely supported. In this gentle inversion, allow any last bit of tension to drain out the tops of the shoulders and out the crown of the head.
letting gravity and time continue this work of decompressing the spine. Allow each breath to become just a little bit longer, using our breath to let go even more. Holding each breath an additional beat or so. Elongating the exhalation into a letting go breath. Letting the exhalation become twice that of the inhalation. Using the breath as our direct connection to the nervous system. Slowing the breath. Slowing the mind. Allowing the body to shift. Into a place of being nurtured. Into a place of restoration or healing or transformation where change takes place. Extending the exhalation to twice as long as the inhalation. Maybe even pausing at the end of the exhalation now. Waiting for the spontaneous inhalation to arise. And in your own time, removing the block from beneath the hips. Slowly rolling the spine down as you make your way into your final Shavasana. Letting the legs turn out, the palms turn up, both creating a low V. As you rest into this final Shavasana, even give a little lengthening to the back of the neck by tucking the chin. And if the chin is still higher than the forehead, maybe placing your blanket behind the skull to allow for some elongation along the back of the neck and head. Feeling the weight of your body. Allow the entire back body to melt into the floor. Feeling the heaviness in the bones. Releasing the practice. It is complete. So allowing yourself to let go of what is behind you. And just welcome the sensations arising in the body. Feeling the feet, calves, thighs, hips, sacrum, spine, ribs, shoulders, arms, hands, back of the neck, back of the head, crown of the head, forehead, eyes, jaw, deep inside the throat.
whole body heavy, rest and at ease. Resting fully into the affirmation, I am grounded. I am supported. Staying here as long as you'd like. Letting everything drain off of you, back into the earth. Without rushing. In your own time, rolling to your side. Pressing into the external support of the floor and rising up into your internal strength. Completing your practice. Namaste.